Hello, everyone. Good evening. TGIF. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God we are alive to see today. How are we doing? I hope we're doing good. I hope we're doing fine. Uh, how was our week? I hope it was filled with lots of learnings, lots of designs. I hope we have been learning this week. I hope I'm hoping so many things, Abby. Don't call me hopeful, oh. But how has it been? How has it been so far? Someone should just give me, what you have gained in this week. What you have gained this week. Have you learned anything at all this week? What do you think would be your next step? How do you think you want to, how do you think you want to start putting different things into place right now? Jeffrey said product design is hard. There's nothing that is not, there's nothing that is so simple. Give me a job and I'll tell you the hard parts of those jobs. You want to be an entrepreneur? You should already know that there are nights where you will not sleep. Even if you want, I don't even know the simplest task. Even if you say, okay, I want to be a chef, maybe because you think that being a chef, you just be in the kitchen cooking all day. It's not also easy. It's not easy to be a chef. You get? It's not easy to be a chef. Someone is saying product management is easier than product design, and that's where you get it wrong. If you're a product manager, you are handling documentations, you are handling managing teams, managing people. And they say the hardest people to manage, or the hardest group of living things to manage is people. So you are managing people of different characters, you are managing people with different, behaviors, and then you are managing timeline as well, and you are trying to make sure that everything comes in one piece. As someone who has been a product manager, I can tell you for a fact it's not easy. To me, I even think that being a product designer is even easier than being a product manager. Maybe because I like design. Yeah. But then there's no task that is so easy. There is no task that is just easy peasy. All right. Okay, let me see. I'm just trying to read some of the things we have said so far. I like what Abiob's tips and lifestyle said. Said that we can do hard things. Sincerely, that's a tag right now. We can do hard things. Oh, Chinedu said, though I joined this week, but I enjoyed the teaching on basics prototype. Okay, that's great. That's great. I would advise that you watch previous classes, because if you're just learning about prototype, then you may have lost some things in transition. So go back to the first videos, and then try take it up from there. All right. Yes, Roslyn, product management is not so easy as well. Okay, Peter Shagun says, I learned about prototyping and how auto layout helps with your scrolling, both vertical and horizontal. Learning about usability testing also taught me how users test a prototype and give you feedback. Amazing, amazing, amazing. All right. Okay, I see. So let's go into today's work. I think if we have time on our side today, we may do a bit of practicals again, a bit of hands-on experience. so that any other person who comes on board to watch this class, you probably would be able to, practice alongside with what we are doing. All right, so let's go. Today we are dealing with accessibility in design. And if you were in my class when we were talking about inclusive design, there was a topic where we talked about inclusivity in design. Let me see if I can go back to, yes, I think we talked about design ethics and inclusive design. Design ethics and inclusive design. Yeah. Now, you would have heard when I talked about accessibility in design, when we're talking about being inclusive. But today we are going to dive very, very deep into accessibility in design. Now, the question would be, what is accessibility? Especially in product design or especially in UI UX design. What is accessibility? Accessibility can mean different things, but in product design or in UI UX design, what is accessibility? I'm waiting for a response. If I just get one response, I would move on. While I'm waiting for the response, I'll just check what we are saying here. All right. So Peter says wireframe has exposed him or her to the beauty behind design, just like a chef in the kitchen. I like that. I like that. I like that. All right. Victory says the idea of wireframing, prototyping in particular, indicates product design is a great place to be in tech. Amazing. I love that. All right, so let's continue. What is accessibility in product design? What is accessibility in UI UX design? What is accessibility as a UI designer? What is accessibility as a UX designer? Joseph, you're almost there, but you're not there yet. Joseph is remaining very small like this. So Joseph says accessibility means the ease with which one can make use of a product. No. I like, I like, I like it. I like that. I like that we are here to learn. Yeah. So Jeffrey says accessibility in UI UX design means making your product usable as many by as many people as possible, including those with disabilities. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, amazing. Now, Smiley says accessibility enables people with diverse as abilities to perceive, understand, navigate, interact with, and contribute to the web. I like these definitions. I like these definitions. So for every other person who has given a definition of accessibility and has not factored in people with disability, you are almost there. I hope we can hear me. For everyone who has explained accessibility in product design but has not factored in people with other diverse abilities, you are not there yet. So you need to factor in people with diverse abilities. You can also call them disabilities. Now, let's go. What is accessibility in design? According to um, Interaction Design Foundation, accessibility is the concept of whether a product or service can be used by everyone, however they encounter it, including those with disabilities. Accessibility is also known as A11Y. Accessibility in design is also known as A11Y. We are also going to see different names, you understand? But it means the concept of whether a product or a service can be used by everyone in every context, by everyone in every context. We'll be using examples from WhatsApp, examples from Instagram, or any other example we see. Accessibility in design means that everyone should be able to use your product at any point in time. Now let's move. Somebody would have asked me, what is A11Y? A11Y is the abbreviation and it is a numeronym. We can say numeronym, some will say numeronym for accessibility, where 11 represents the number of the letters between letters A and Y. So if you count from C to T, you have 11 words, which means we are abbreviating it and we are giving it a numeronym to A11Y, accessibility. You can pronounce it as A11Y, you can pronounce it as A11Y, you can pronounce it as ally, but it's best to call it accessibility so that when you hear people saying, how about A11Y, you will not be confused and you say, "Ah, I've not heard that before." A11Y is also known as accessibility. ALL or A11Y is also known as accessibility. All right. Now, remember that when designers create products with accessibility in mind, we design better products for everyone. When designers create products with accessibility in mind, they design better products for everyone. Now, accessibility is concerned with whether all users are able to access an equivalent user experience. Accessibility is concerned with whether all users are able to access an equivalent user experience. Now, let me explain that. No matter who you are, no matter the context you are staying in, no matter your abilities or disabilities, you should be able to enjoy using the application the same way somebody without disability can use the application. So if, for example, I am on Facebook and I'm enjoying Facebook because I can see people's images, I can chat with people, I can type, I can do so much, and I can reach out to people, my secondary school friends, my primary school friends, my university lecturers, and the likes. People with disability should also be able to experience that same joy that I'm experiencing on the platform. So, however way we encounter a product or a service, that product or service should be accessible to every kind of person, whether you are with disabilities or without disabilities. So accessibility focus on people with disabilities. That's like the main focus. Although at the end of the day, you will discover that if you design for disability or if you design with accessibility in mind, you would also be designing for people with abilities. Now let's go on. So the overall definition of disabilities would include disabilities that are permanent, disabilities that are temporary, and disabilities that are situational. There are permanent disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. Probably you maybe you did not sleep all through the night. You wake up and your eyes are extremely sensitive to light. That's a temporary disability, probably because of your health. At that time, even if you want to watch a movie, you suddenly discover that by the time you are seeing the movie, you are probably tearing in your eye. You know, you are tearing. You are your tears are coming down from your eyes because you are at that point sensitive to light. Sometimes you may have just, gotten a bit down or tired or something, and all of a sudden you really cannot move any part of your body. You are too tired to even do anything. That is a temporary disability. You are tired, you don't even want to stand up. You sometimes you may even use your leg to start looking for your phone, to drag your phone close to you and the likes. Those are, just temporary. At that point, you may not be called a disabled person, but at that point, you are having a temporary, disability. Now, there is also the situational disability. The situational disability, I always use the example of a mother who is carrying her baby on one hand and expects to do other things with the other hand. That is a situational thing. For example, you are driving. When you are driving, you are not supposed to use your hand to type. When you are driving, you're not supposed to be typing and driving. You're not supposed to be chatting with people and driving. So that is another situational contextual disability. If you are following me, please let me get a reaction so that I will know that you are following me. If I'm not seeing a reaction, I will feel like we are all just looking at me and then we are probably not following me. Now, disability is a physical or mental condition, that limits a person's movement, senses, or activities. Let me tell you something. Heartbreak can be a temporary, it can make somebody have a temporary disability. Oh. I don't know if you get the point. When somebody is heartbroken and all of a sudden nothing makes sense, you cannot even type well. You are typing and you are typing off. You know, don't say I said that too. So, disabilities would refer to something that is stopping you here, something that is holding you back from doing some things that people would normally do, from moving, from having some your senses at par, like on point, understanding things. Sometimes something will happen to you and then you become a slow thinker when normally you think so fast. Those are sorts of disabilities and the likes. Now, accessibility needs you to be great to provide an equal experience to your users with disabilities. Accessibility needs you to be amazing so that you can provide equal experience. In fact, I always tell people that I talk to when we are talking about design that as a product designer, your hobby will be thinking. If you're a product designer, your hobby, you will think for a living. Reason being that you are thinking with different users in mind. You have so many users, they have given you lots of problems, lots of pain points, and you as the designer, you are acting as a superhero to solve that problem for them. So you have to be great, you have to be amazing to be able to do what, to be able to solve all of these problems and give them one kind of product that they can use. So let's move. What are the advantages of accessibility? Creating accessible designs is not just a moral obligation, it also benefits the wide range of users. Remember when I said that when you are designing for accessibility, when you are designing for people that are disabled, at the end of the day, you would find out that you are also designing for other users, even when they are not disabled. Features aimed at assisting individuals with disabilities frequently enhances the experience of everyone. For example, captions on videos will aid those with hearing impairments. Captions on videos will aid those with hearing impairments while also being useful for everyone watching without sound, such as in a crowded social media feed. Now, this is where I will get my example from WhatsApp. There's a feature on WhatsApp now where you can transcribe. So somebody sends you an audio and then you can transcribe it now. You just click on that transcribe feature from your settings, and then whenever you see somebody's voice note, you can just click on transcribe and it will transcribe, and you can practically read everything that the person has said, maybe with just one or two minor corrections or auto corrections from there. Now, this tells you that even if you were in a crowded environment, you're not with your earpiece, you're not with something where you can use to listen to that voice note, or maybe you cannot even hear at the time. What do? You just click on transcribe, and in a way, you can read the voice note that that person has sent to you as a text. So you see that they've solved problems for people who have disabilities, but in that way, they have also solved problems for us, we that likes reading. For example, as much as I love seeing movies, And as much as I would see 1,000 movies, even if I have to download the movie, maybe from somewhere, I would still have to download the subtitle. Why? Because I love to read what they are saying. Now, I don't have the disability of maybe hearing, but then because they have solved for people with disabilities of hearing, it has also given me pleasure because I like to read the things that I hear. Text that is clear and high contrast supports individuals with vision challenges. So you see that for people who have maybe one eye issue or the other, let me see if I can pull up. Let me see if I can pull. There was something I wrote one particular time, and then I had to like put down I all of the vision issues that I noticed at the time. So I'm trying to see if I can pull that up right now, and then we'll just go through some of them. In fact, their names I cannot pronounce them without seeing them. There are people with different eye issues. Now, when you already start thinking of the fact that people have eye issues, eye problems, eye challenges, vision issues, let's use vision issues. Let's say when you start thinking of the fact that people have vision issues, you are able to design something that will not confuse them. You are able to design things that will not, make them think the other way. Some people would think that it's only colors that make a design. No, if it were only colors, that means that people with vision issues, people with some kind of color blindness issues as well, would be left out. And the moment you are leaving some sets of people out of your design, that means that your design is not accessible. So you need to think of accessibility when you are designing. All right, let's move on. The advantages of prioritizing accessibility, and it means that you would have enhanced search engine optimization through the use of semantic HTML. If your design is accessible, you would have enhanced search engine optimization. If your design is accessible, you would have increased opportunities to connect with a wider audience across different devices and environments. Now, if you prioritize accessibility, you will have a stronger public image for your brand because everybody that would encounter your brand would encounter it with, peace, with joy, with happiness, with, just this good emotion when they're on your platform. And then, of course, that means that you are legally compliant if you prioritize accessibility. Because it's not only the Nigerians that will use your products. People outside Nigeria, I think European Union, EU now, they are making it very strict that whatever application that will be used in their region has to be accessibility compliant. So if you are designing for people who will get jobs that are non-Nigerians, for people who are not even Nigerians listening to me and you would want to design, you need to be accessibility compliant. You need to be accessibility compliant. So, what are the common accessibility challenges? From this image, you would notice cognitive and learning disabilities for people that have learning disabilities, dyslexia, and the likes. You need to design for them. You need to make things simple for them to understand so that they don't think that things are complex. You need to think for them so that they don't think. You need to think for them so that they don't think. Now, we have people with blindness, low vision, color blindness. You also need to design for these sets of people. For people with speech issues, for people with hearing issues, for people with motor or dexterity issues, movement issues, you need to design for these people. Now, see, there are people issues with color blindness, people using wheelchairs or cannot move certain parts of their bodies, like their hands, people with hearing impairment, people having photosensitivity issues, epilepsy, people that cannot see shining, twinkling lights. There are some people that the moment they start seeing these flash lights coming on, coming off, on and off, these lights shining and the lights, you will discover that they start having nausea. They start trying, maybe they would want to feel faint or something. You need to think of these people. We are picking up different issues now, and I'm feeling that somebody is saying, how will I be thinking for all of these people? They are just simple things that you need to put in place. If you put these things in place, in fact, they are minor things in design that when you put in place, your design just becomes really accessible. Now, I think we have explained that accessibility can be incidental, situations like sleep deprivation, hangovers, maybe sicknesses and the likes. Then you have situational, challenges faced when you are handling some tasks. That is situational. Maybe you are in a place of work where you should not touch your device, while you are working. How would you then, converse with people and the likes? There should be a method whereby you can quickly see messages that, would come early enough and the likes. So there is also environmental, situational, incidental challenges faced when using the mobile devices in areas with poor connectivity, like underground locations or even some places in Nigeria. I remember in our last class when we were carrying out the test, some people were saying, "Oh, our network is bad." Now, for issues like that, or for situations like that, or for environmental challenges like that, how do we design with this kind of people in mind? You need to think of that. So, what are the practical guidelines and principles for accessibility? What are the practical guidelines and principles for accessibility? This is going to be a lot, but by 8 o'clock, we'll just take a break, we'll have our attendance, and then we'll come back to complete it with our bit of a bit of practicals. Now, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is called WCAG, developed by the World Wide Web Consortium, WWW Consortium, are built on 4 core accessibility principles, and that is POUR. So we have 4 principles of accessibility, and it is known as POUR. Your designs has to be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Your designs have to be perceivable. Your designs have to be operable. That means people should be able to operate it. Your designs need to be understandable, and your designs need to be robust. So we are going to be looking into the general guidelines that you should use while you are designing for accessibility in mind. Now, you need to provide text alternatives. If you have heard of text alt before or alt text before, if you have heard of alt text before, you would understand this. So you need to provide alt text or text alternative text for non-text content like images, icons, charts, so that they can be converted into other forms like speech, like braille, and the likes. Decorative images can have alt text. Alt is equal to, this one is coding, but what you want to do when you have an image that you want to, give your developers, you want to give them an alt text, or you want to give them an alternative text. That alternative text should be clear, should be concise, should be as descriptive as possible. It should convey the same meaning as that text. It shouldn't be something like, for example, look at the example we have here. Look at the example we have here. We have this hand, a right hand, holding a glass of red wine. But this time around, look at the wrong alt text. The person just kept wine. If somebody with disability issues, maybe vision issues, yes, let's use that. If somebody with vision issues just sees wine, The person may start overthinking what the wine is. What exactly is this wine? But if the person sees the right hand holding a glass of red wine, this person already understands what it is. The right hand, he knows his right hand. It is holding a glass of red wine. Wow. Maybe you can even say a transparent glass of red wine. So he already he can have that vision, he can have that thought, and he can imagine what that is already. So what you want to do is, if you are creating an alt text, you want to make sure that you are as descriptive and as concise as possible. Now you need to provide alt text to you need to provide captions, you need to provide audio descriptions, sign languages for videos, audios, recordings, and live content, and so many others. Whatever thing would need maybe a video, an image, audios, recordings, live content, a song, all of those things, a picture, an icon, you need alternative text for these things, so that when people with vision issues are viewing it, they would be able to get the right sense of what they are viewing. Now, you also need to structure your content in a way that the people with maybe vision issues will be able to they'll be able to get a grasp of what they are reading. So you want to say this place is for heading H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. This is a paragraph text. This is a footer text. This is a caption text. This is a body text. You need to be able to specify all of that. This is a list. For example, what I'm using here is list. So you would say, okay, this is a list. If you create tables, you say this is a table. So you need to be able to structure those contents, so that when people using assistive technologies, like maybe those assistive technologies that help people with vision issues, when they are going through your website, they will be able to know that, okay, this is a list, or this is an image, this is a header, this is a footer, and they'll be able to have a grasp of what they are dealing with. Also, if you are giving instructions, instructions must not rely solely on sensory characteristics like shape, color, or sound. Instructions must not be click on the red button. What if the person cannot see red? If you say click on the green button, what if the person cannot see green? If you are using voice, what if the person cannot hear? So try to make your design void of some certain things. Try to make your design void of some certain things. In fact, someone even told me that we should stop putting click. Someone, I think it was something funny, and the person said, just take away click, for in fact, from your language generally. But I don't know about that. I'm not the one, I'm not here to judge. We listen, we don't judge. Now, identify the purpose of your inputs and your text fields. Identify the purpose of inputs and text fields. If you are designing an input, right now we should already know what an input field is. An input field is that space, that place where you can write your email, where you put in your password, where you put in your maybe your age, your date of birth, you are writing a text, you are sending a message to someone. All of that place where you interact and put an information, you can either call it input fields or text fields. Now, for your input field, your text field, you should understand the purpose of each. The one that needs only numbers, the one that needs a name, the one that needs email, the one that whatsoever that needs. And you should be able to help these people with whatever impairment they have. You should be able to help them understand that particular context that you are designing. So in some cases, when people are designing input fields, you see them putting something like enter your first name, and your last name. So by doing that, instead of just writing name up there, then in the place where they are really writing, an example will be enter your first name and your last name. When they see that, they'll be able to know what, for people that maybe are not really they're not really fast in understanding what should be done in that place. That's for people with cognitive issues. By explaining it to them, you are helping them understand what should be done. So, don't rely on color alone to convey an information. Use text on or patterns alongside color for error indicators. So that's that. Even for whatever indicator you want to have, whether green, blue, orange, purple, make sure there is a text alongside that particular design. Now, text and images of text must have a contrast ratio. This is very, very important. The text and the images of text must have a contrast ratio of at least 4.5 ratio 1 for the normal body text or 3 ratio 1 for large text. Text must be resizable up to 200% without loss of content or functionality. You should be able to zoom in to up to 200% without loss of content or functionality. All right. Now, you need to avoid images of text. Now, what does that mean? You need to avoid having text as images. That's the word, except it is essential, like your logo or like something that must just be in an image format. If not, please type that text like that, type the real text as it is supposed to be. Reason being that if you are using a text as an image, the person who is viewing it will not be able to read that image. The person would see it as an image and you would have not passed the message through to the person. So if you have not passed the message through to the person doesn't understand what you have just said in the image. So you need to, if it is going to be text, better still write the text like that so that people can be carried alongside what you want them to see. If you have a pre-recorded audio, minimize background noise. Some people, the moment they start hearing some extra sounds or some extra noise, the concentration they have just goes down. So if that is the case, that means that if you are going to have a pre-recorded video, audio, or whatsoever, try to minimize the sound. And if you notice that for some of those for some of those applications that help us with video recordings and the likes, you'll see that some of them have voice noise cancellation. That is accessibility in mind. They have noise cancellation. They have, even for some of the microphones that we buy now, you notice that they'll tell you that, okay, do you want the one with noise cancellation? Do you want the one with better audio something, something, something? Just because they are thinking of the users that will be listening to you. Also, allow your users to adjust text spacing, alignment, and line height without loss of content. Allow your users have the ability. For some people who have short-sightedness, long-sightedness, all of those sightedness, for some of them, you should, it is expedient that you give them the ability to either zoom, increase the text size or reduce the text size to whatsoever is convenient for them. If they are able to do that on your platform, you would notice that they would enjoy coming to your platform. Now, content must reflow from single column presentation at 400% zoom without horizontal scroll except for tables or complex layouts. If I want to explain that, now, for people who have like vision issues and would zoom in to their system, would want to, increase the text so that they can read clearly, you should give them the ability to zoom in. This one may not be for the designer, this one may be for the developer. But if you know it as a designer, you should be able to test such when you are carrying out the beta test after development. So if you zoom into your screen like to 400%, you should still be able to read most of the things that are written on that particular design without it losing, without it losing all the content or going into a place where you now have to start scrolling to the right or scrolling to the left because it has entered into different places that you don't understand. It should still be able to be static, but it should reflow like a wrapped content. If I get to Figma, maybe we'll be able to explain that. If one of you can just pick this place so that you can ask me when I get to Figma. Now, content triggered by hover or focus must be dismissible, hoverable, and persistent. Ensure that tooltips can be dismissed with a keyboard. For things that would maybe change color, move or something, you should help them to do away with it. It shouldn't be something that they must do. If a content is triggered by maybe if I hover, then it pops up. I should also be able to click on a particular key to bring it up and click on a particular key to take it out of there. Why? Because sometimes I may not be able to, use the trackpad or something. I may be able to just use keyboards alone. So you need to also think of that context as well. Now, user interface components and navigations must be operable for all users regardless of the input method. Don't think that everybody is going to use a trackpad. Don't think that everybody is going to scroll. Think about what if people are using keyboard? What if people are using keyboard to move up, keyboard to move down? If your users are the types that will not use the trackpad or the types that would use a different assistive method to to work on that website or to carry out some things on your website, how will they go about it? So you need to think about the navigation, and that navigation must be operable for every kind of person. Now, for time limited actions, allow the users to extend, adjust, postpone, suppress, or even turn off the time limit except where essential. You know why I wrote this except where essential? Some people will use this, and when they get to the exam hall, they will now say, we should be able to turn off time limits, whereas your time limit is just 2 hours for all of the questions you are supposed to answer. So, except where essential. Yes, I knew somebody was going to bring this up. So, Jeffrey, except where essential, that quiz needed to be timed. So that one is essential. So we would not agree with that. So for time limited actions, allow users to extend, adjust, postpone, suppress, or turn off time limits. Let's take, for instance, this is an onboarding phase, and then you are timing them that within 3 minutes or within 1 minute they should be done. You should be able to turn off that timer that you are giving to them. You should be able to turn it off and say, what if this person is a slow learner? What if this person is very, very slow in answering his or her questions? You need to think of that phase on the user's perspective as well. Now, avoid content that flashes more than 3 times per second to prevent seizures from people. There are some movies, I don't know if you guys are like me that like to watch movies. I don't know if you have seen some movies where if there are maybe like all these action movies, so there is the place where there will be like a party, and then those lights will be flashing. Now, if you watch the beginning of the movie, they would probably give you this notice that there is light flashing on this particular movie. So if you are someone who is sensitive to light, you can maybe do away with the movie. Now, that is a way of telling you that, oh, for this type of movie, oh, we advise that you don't watch it because of the flashes of light. Now, if you are designing something, try to avoid all of those contents that just flashes. Try to avoid content that look like a party hall, that just, I know you are trying to grab the attention of people, but even in grabbing the attention of people, there are better ways of designing it to grab their attention. You can use different things, other things to grab their attention, not flashing lights, because you see that for some people, when they see those flashes of light, it can send a trigger to their brain. It can cause seizures. It can cause them to faint. It can cause a lot of harm to some type of people. And you don't want somebody to sue you for designing something that led to their health being bad. Now, um, allow users to disable motion animations. So many people like motion design right now, but there are some people that motion makes them feel sick. So give them the chance to disable or enable those motion animations that you are triggering. Give them the chance to, disable, except when it is essential. Of course, you are hearing that I'm saying essential, essential. So except on very essential things, give them the chance to disable such motion animations. Now, provide a mechanism where people can skip to the main content. I'm going to use Netflix as an example. If you are very, very conversant with Netflix and their seasonal movies, I used to call it episodials until people said I'm not classy anymore, that I'm a village girl, that I'm calling it episodials. So now I've changed. So for seasonal movies, yeah, that have episodes, you would notice that when we are almost getting to the end of the movie, they tell us that we can skip to the next. Yeah. And not just skip to the next. When we are even skipping to the next, they can tell us that we can skip the intro so that we can get to the main movie. Because I'm sure they've noticed that most of us, we used to forward that intro gone. So because they notice that, wow, these people forward the intro a lot, what's the point? Let's give them a chance to be able to skip some certain things and get to the main part. You can also achieve that in your design. If you are designing some things that would maybe you need to put some additives, some extras at some places, you can tell them to skip. For example, you are designing an onboarding phase for a mobile application of some sort, and you have the onboarding screen up to 5. You can tell people to skip that and go to the place where they can get started. It's not hard. And the moment people just see that, oh, this is the onboarding, they can skip it and they can get to where they will either log in or sign up. So provide a mechanism for people to bypass some things that are unnecessary. Provide a mechanism for people to bypass some things that are unnecessary. And thank you, Victory, for this. When we're talking about avoiding content that flash, Victory said that it can even impair the vision further. And sincerely, you don't want to make your application something that would make people, have bad vision. And even if let's even talk a bit on that. That's why for designers now, I'm sure we would have talked about color, and I'm very sure that the facilitator that taught us on color would have told us that we shouldn't use colors like FF to design, backgrounds, or 000000 to design backgrounds. Why? Because those colors are really, really, heavy. And because they are heavy, instead of calming the user on that particular screen, they are too sharp and they can impair people's vision. So please let us take note of that. Now, provide multiple navigation methods. Provide multiple navigation methods. Three methods of navigation is not bad. A place where I can search if I'm confused, a place for breadcrumbs. If I've been in a particular place before, I should be able to trace my way back. Breadcrumbs, somebody would ask me, what is breadcrumbs? If you have seen a website and just above the website you saw home/product/Indomie, home/product/ let me see what I want. Home/product/Mercedes-Benz. Home/product/Mercedes-Benz slash the latest one, 2023 model or 2025 model. Those, or maybe you would see it may not be in slash format now, it may be in like small label formats that just tells you where you are. So find different methods of navigation, your tab format, your breadcrumb format, your search format, your sitemap format. All of this can help you or help the user find where they are quickly and make sure that they are not lost on your page. Also, information and operation of the user interface must be understandable. Don't carry people to where they don't know. Don't take people to where they don't know. Make your system so understandable that for every place that they understand what is going on there. The information should be clear, the information should be understandable. The information should be clear, the information should be understandable, and we should be able to operate your product. My one of my mentors would always say that the moment you give me a website or a product and I have to ask you, so what is this product about? Please, you have not done it. Because a user should not have to ask you what the product is about. A user should see that thing for the first time and understand what the product is about. Now, navigation mechanisms must be consistent. In fact, lots of things must be consistent. Your styling method must be consistent. Your typography must be consistent. Your colors must be consistent. Your footer section must be consistent. The way you address your what's the word now? Your language, the language you use must be consistent. The write-up on your page must be consistent. Everything must be consistent. You must have a consistent menu styling, positioning, your pages, everything must be consistent. You shouldn't have a design looking like World War I and World War II together, and maybe a splash of World War V. So it must be consistent. Imagine if on this slides that we have here now, imagine if every text or every list text is different. I'm using Roboto for the first part, I'm using WorkSense for the second one, I use Lato, I use Nunito, I'm just using all of that. By the time you have read it to some points, you would feel choked up. You will just feel like closing your eyes because there is no consistency. So it must be consistent. Also, provide clearly identify and describe input errors. If there is a place or if there is a chance that somebody makes a mistake, you should be able to explain to the best way. You should be able to explain to the best way what that error is. Your password or your email is wrong. If you cannot remember your password, kindly reset password. With that now, they understand that, okay, it's either my password or my email that is wrong. Let me reset my password, or let me check my email if my email is right. If my email is right, then let me reset my password. Probably I've forgotten my password. So you need to create clear input errors. Describe your input errors in a very correct way. Don't use codes like code 404, error 303, and so on and so forth. Now, provide clear label or instruction for your form fields. We've said that before. Provide clear labels or instructions for your form fields. Input your email address. Example of email address at so 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 and so dot com, email address at this.com. Explain what you want people to do so that they are not confused. You want them to write a password. Is it up to 8 characters with one symbol, with at least one symbol, with at least one number, with at least one this, one that, one this? You need to put all of that into place. Apply error prevention to all user inputs. Error prevention to all user inputs. For example, I'm about to type my email and I've kept OYEBO. It just completes it for me. Yeah. Now, for data input and critical actions, provide confirmation, reversibility, or error checking. Control Z for reversing, confirmation. Are you sure this is the correct thing? Or you want to delete something. Are you sure you want to delete this thing? If you delete it, it cannot be recovered again. Then you can now press delete. So that means that you need to help people for critical decisions, for critical actions, for input fields, for anything that you know that, oh, if they make a mistake on this, there will be an issue. Thank you, Ezekiel. Ezekiel said, do you want to save? You want to save something? Are you sure you want to save this? And then you can now go ahead and save what you want to save. Yeah. Now, avoid requiring users to re-enter information already provided unless it is essential. If I've already provided my email before somewhere on your application, except it is very, very essential, try to always remember those things. Allow your application to do the remembrance so that you don't make me think. Now, provide alternatives to cognitive tests. Cognitive tests like all those captchas, all those stuff that they will tell you to start looking for the car, or start looking for a ladder, start looking for a sheep, start looking for this, start looking for that, and you have to tick about 25 of those things. Or maybe captures like they will give you different alphabets, and then alphabet numbers, caps lock, small caps, and then they'll tell you that you should start trying to type what you see. So that is good, but provide alternative to those cognitive tests. Now, content must be robust enough. Your content must be robust enough to be interpreted by a wide variety of user agents, including assistive technologies. So you can make your content as robust, simplified. In fact, you can put it in between simplicity and professionality, so that different people on different stands with different IQ will be able to understand your content. Okay. And finally, before our break, we'll just have this. You design prominent, clear feedback for interactions. Design prominent and clear feedback for your interactions. We are going to have our break right now. And when we come back, we'll continue from where we're stopping. Kindly take your attendance as we wait for the break. Thank you very much. See you soon. Okay, I'm welcome back. So the break is over. I hope we've taken our attendance. Don't worry, don't bother responding. Don't bother responding. So before we just continue from where we stopped, let me quickly see the chat session. I see that Jeffrey wants to be our Slido designer. That's great. That's amazing. Okay. Yes. Ambassador Fashalejo says, yeah, he got that from the book Don't Make Me Think. That book is amazing. If you really want to be an amazing designer, you can read Don't Make Me Think. All right, now you want to delete the account, are you sure? Okay, so Elizabeth is trying to like give more context to the text that we should give when we want to help people with inputs. So she's saying, are you sure you want to delete the account? Yes, I like that. Yes, you, control think, you can also ask to confirm password. Of course, that's very, very important, so that they don't make mistakes in writing something that is wrong. All right, when deleting an account, that is quite different because people can mistakenly tap on delete button. So that confirmation message helps them, of course, of course. All right, okay, I see that. Really, I see that we are following this and we understand it, and I'm happy. I'm happy about this. So now let's look at the summary. Let's look at the summary of what we've said. In summary, we've said you should ensure that there is sufficient contrast of 4.5:1 for text and 3:1 for UI components. Avoid using only color cues. Use tools like Web AIM's contrast checker. If we are able to go into design as well, we would also see maybe some of the tools I use on Figma to check, my contrast. Now, ensure content is accessible on mobile devices, supporting touch and zoom views. For example, about 400% zoom without horizontal scrolling. That means that you should design for responsiveness. Now you can use consistent navigation, consistent labeling, and styling across pages to reduce confusion. Allow your content to be very clear and avoid ambiguity. So provide clear and prominent feedback. Um, when you are checking when you sorry, this is to answer Young's question. So there are numbers for your contrast check. If your number contrast check is below, I think is above 4.5 and 4.5:1, then you need to make sure it is around 4.5:1 and above. If it is less than that, that means people with vision issues might find it hard to see the content that you are feeding them with. Okay, so let's continue. Provide clear or prominent feedback for user actions, e.g., form errors with icons and text. Write meaningful alt text and ensure captions, transcripts for multimedia. All right, so that's. Now, what are the additional accessibility standard guides that you can read about? Of course, you can still go to WCAG's website. You can go to WCAG's website and then read more on what they have for accessibility. You can also go to ADA website. I think there is one for disabilities. You can check their website out. You can check authoring tool accessibility guidelines. You can also check user agent accessibility guidelines. You can check web accessibility initiative, accessible rich internet application. So this one is for developers, but if you understand some of the things that developers are going to be designing, which was something that helped me. So if you understand some of the things that developers are going to be adding, for example, the alt text, so that whenever they are asking you, okay, what alt text should we use, you would understand that they are coming from the place of accessibility. Then you should also look into web accessibility initiatives adapt, and then you should look into web VTT and TTML. These are formats for captions and timed text, so that you would see how they are timing text, when they are putting pause, when they are saying laughter, and all those other things that may be needed on or in your product. All right. So now let me see if this is one from Americans with Disabilities Act. I think we read this when we were talking about inclusiveness in design. Inclusiveness in design. Now, um, understand your organization's obligation under ADA to make your website conformant with this WCAG version. We talked about it before, yeah. Now, request an accessibility audit, fix your accessibility issues, implement ongoing accessibility monitoring, and then stay updated on ADA accessibility guidelines. So I'll just read that out. Exactly, exactly. So you should also be compliant to this ADA Act. Now let's move further. Your assignments. This is because I really want to design today. That's why I'm jumping and running like this. So design a simple mobile application that helps people when they are not motivated to do anything. Design a simple mobile application that helps people when they are not motivated to do anything. So the case study is that people are not sometimes motivated. For example, some people are supposed to be in this class today, but they were not motivated to join this class. Now, how would you get them motivated to join the class? What kind of, you design that application that can help people to be motivated. However way you think you can design it, let's try, let's see what you guys can bring out of this. Carry out a small research, choose a niche. When I say choose a niche, you want to choose what aspects you want to motivate people on. Maybe it is health related. Maybe people are not motivated to carry out exercises. Maybe people are not motivated to clean their house. Oh, I'm not supposed to give people any kind of, but just look for a niche. Look for something, somewhere where you want to motivate people on, or somewhere where you think the problem of motivation can actually, be solved there. Maybe people are not going to church. People are not motivated to go to church. So think of people with disabilities and factor them into the design. So whatever thing that you have discovered, maybe people are not motivated to leave some particular kind of addiction. Maybe people are not motivated to eat, for example, me, So how do you get me motivated to eat and to eat well and to eat good food? So think of all of that. Carry out a small research. I didn't say carry out an in-depth research, yeah, but carry out a small research. Just ask different people and try to document your research so that you can always go back to it and use it. Then when you are through with that, and you have chosen the niche, then you can create, think of people with disabilities. What if it's a blind person that is in this condition? What if it's someone with vision issues that is in this condition? And so on and so forth. Now, create the onboarding screens and some functional screens in low fidelity and high fidelity. So it's more like a mini project here. This is more like a mini project. So you are carrying out a small research, you are choosing a niche, you are thinking of people with disabilities, and you are factoring them into your design. You are creating the onboarding screens. If you did not type the research, you can just screenshot the research and the research stuff that you've written out, and put it in your Figma file, so that, or your your Figma file, so that we can always see it. Now, create onboarding screens and some functional screens in low fidelity and high fidelity. So you can either make it a wireframe or you can make it a prototype. Of course, the next place is now prototype and test with people. So you can test the application, just ask people, the people you have carried out the research with, you can always ask them, oh, that thing I asked you about, this was what I was able to design. What do you think? So let's see what people think from your design. All right, so that's that. I'm hoping that, let me see if I can share my other screen now. Please give me a moment. Let me see if I can share my screen. Okay. Um, please give me a moment. If it's possible, kindly help me to. Wow. I don't know if it's possible for me to share this screen now. Oh, God. Kindly bear with me. I don't know why. I'm waiting for my next slides to be shared, or for my next screen to be shared. Please give me a minute. Okay, kindly help me. Kindly put up my next screen, please. I'm seeing you guys comment. Oh, is the assignment too small or too big? All right. I hope we can see my screen clearly. I hope we can see my screen clearly. Let me close other things that may impact us. Okay, so I hope we can see my screen clearly. Let me close this. Let me close this. Now, if you are looking at my screen, you are probably seeing a simple design, just the mere classic design. This is the mobile version of the Chop Hub we designed the other time. And we are going to be looking at accessibility on this website. Accessibility on this website. First, we are going to look at our logo, and you will discover from the first instance that our logo is what? Our logo is text. So even if somebody comes to this, may be an image. Of course, you can make this in the format of an image, but then even if somebody comes to, like, if somebody with eye issues like zoom in, you remember we talked about zooming into maybe 400 pixels and the likes, it should be able to read what is there without having some kind of pixelated format in your design. So that's that. Now, let's look at this design. This is home. This is home. This is a link at the moment. I want to see if this is accessible or this is not accessible. I told us that I was going to share with us a particular tool that I use for accessibility check on Figma. Now, it is a plugin called Stack Contrast and Accessibility Checker. Stack Contrast and Accessibility Checker. How did I get here? The first thing I want to do is I want to click on the frame I want to check. So let's just click on this. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to my actions at the bottom panel, or at the navigation, bottom navigation that I have here. Click on it, and then I'm going to plugins. So this is plugins and widgets. Click on plugins, then you can search. If you don't have Stack, you can search for it. So just, search for Stack, and then you see Stack, Contrast, and Accessibility Checker. Click on that, and you will see this. If you have not created an account, you can create an account, or you can leave it like that. Now, I'm happy about this. Now, look at what we have here. You notice that our accessibility check did not pass for this place. Let's check if this passed. This passed for large text, and for body text and for preferred text, it did not pass. Now, this test is going through the perceptual contrast APCA check. I don't know how I would change that check to simple contrast check. Thank you very much. And let's use RGB. So let's go back. Beautiful, amazing, amazing, amazing. Now, from our discussion today, you would notice that we said that the contrast check should not pass what? 4.3 ratio 1, right? 4.3 ratio 1. Now, if you look at this is not up to 4.3. I want to see if we are getting what I'm saying. Yes, Taiwo, you can also right click on the frame. So you can also right click to get your plugins. I'll show us that in a jiffy. All right. So this is not, sorry, 4.5 ratio 1. This is not up to 4.5 ratio 1, which is why we are having this. That means that this color we are using should go darker. Now let's see what will happen if I click on my color panel and then I maybe, let me use RG, let me use HSB. All right. And then let me go to the brighter shade of the color. Okay, let's go to the darker shade of the color. Now you see that as I keep going to the darker shade of the color, the contrast check keeps getting better. So you see now that we have passed 4.5. We have passed 4.5. We are still going down. And then I want to see where I will get to, that it will tell me that even my triple A has been passed. Now you see my contrast check is on 7.2 ratio 1. So you notice that you can use this contrast check to check if your colors are in the right position. So let's check this. Let's see this. Let me see if I can reduce this to get 7.2. All right, so 7.2 is good here. That means that whatever color we have here may also affect everything that I'm doing. So let me see if I can do that. Let me see if I can work it out. Bring that design here from my navigation. Just go to my selection colors and then paste the color there. Come here, let me look for that color and then let's paste it accordingly. Go to my linear panel and paste that color everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Now, if I had created maybe like a variant, it would be so easy for me to just, change these colors in a demure way that pleases the Lord. All right, so let's see. Control V. Okay, this is nice. No, 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 no. Let's say Control Z. Okay, perfect. So this is what I want to change first. Control V first. And then let's see how we can make this also work to our favor. I'm thinking putting it here would be great. Okay, so let's go. Let's see this now. Okay, this is good for contrast check. Perfect. This is for 7.5. Now, if you check this design, if you check this text also passes the contrast check. But of course, this is 0.000000, and we don't want it on that. So I'm going to pick the color here, 1F, 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 and then I'm going to bring it here. You see that it will still pass it. Yes, because this is black on white. And then you can check the color check here and you can see it that, okay, this is good. I mean, look at the number. This is 14.54. That means the contrast is amazing. 10.85, 11.64. This is 9.45. This is 13.3 3. So I mean, this is really good. This is really good. Now, this is 14, but I think there is one that would fail. I'm looking for that one that will fail first. Now, this color would fail. Can you see that? This color, because it is gray, it would actually fail to pass any of the check. So that's how you can use contrast checker, stack contrast and accessibility checker to check your designs. Let's see if let's come here now, and then we would notice something here. We would notice that I just wrote phone number and then there is a text here. But we need to do something about this. We need to make sure that we help our users to make them know that it's just numbers that will probably be here. So I'm getting my text too. I'm bringing it into this place. Thank God this is just like a trial thing. So let's try to type 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 0. I know it's going to write in all black. So I'll just look for the number. If I had created my style guide, it would have been sweeter to just get my numbers. But because I've not created my style guide, I have to manually select what I'm working on. So this is me pasting my style guide or my number here. But this is going to be in like a disabled function so that people would it's not like it's active at the time. So even though that would happen, please don't try to use, for some people they will want to use transparency, opacity. Please don't try to use that in your design for text. For text, make sure that you are not using a transparent content, or yes, don't try to use transparency for text. Look for that particular color. The color is not running away. Look for the particular color you want. So we are looking for the default mode. I think this is good for default. Yes, amazing. Now this is what I'll just do. I'll pick this, come to my auto layout, and then I would make it center aligned, but yes, here. Now that I have this, I think I'm looking for something else. I want good spacing between these numbers. I don't like the way it's just like that. So let me say 2%. All right, let's increase this. Let's see how I can increase this and spread it. All right, great. So now we have this, and then I can do almost the same thing. I can even just carry this. Let's see what will happen if I paste it into this place. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So let's say plus. Where is my plus? Where is my plus? Plus 234. All right. So in a way that fears that the Lord would be pleased, let's change the layout from vertical to horizontal. All right, we are not there yet. Bring this to this side, and then I'm going to change the percentage of this to 0. All right, we are not there yet. We are not there yet. Centralize this, make it start from the beginning. We are not still there. Let us make this spacing between items and making it 0. And there we are. So we have plus 2, 3, 4, and then you can decide to put in whatever number you want to put in. So for this particular area, the next place that says email, you can decide to say e.g. abcd at example.com. So by the time they see this, they already know that okay, this is talking about um you know your email. Yeah, that's that. Now you can decide, okay, first name, you've written first name here, you can still decide to put that here. Last name, you can still decide to put that here. This date of birth, you can decide that you want to make it DDMMYY. So you just say DD hyphen mm hyphen YYYY. So the moment anybody sees this, or you can decide to bring in an icon. So if you are bringing in an icon, let's say you want to get, yeah, so this is me going to look for a plugin by right clicking. I'm right clicking and I can just go to plugin here. Sorry, excuse me. Now I can decide to look for saved plugins, and then I can find whatsoever plugin I'm looking for. But let me look for Iconify here. Iconify, and then Iconify would help me look for dates, the dates icon. So let's say calendar. Let me use calendar. Search for calendar. Yes, and I've seen one that I can use. So I'm importing this for this course or for in this time as a frame. I've brought it in as a frame. Perfect. Now I can select the auto layout again, come to my horizontal layout and then select that. Now I can move. I don't know if we want it to be on the right or on the left, but wherever we want it to be, we can just change this color to look like this color here. So I'm copying the color and then I'm pasting that color into the calendar so that the calendar icon is not sharper than the text itself. Now, referral code. Let's say you want to bring in a referral code. Just say something like your friend code. Let's expand this by going to our layout and clicking on this auto width. Then of course clicking on the auto layout and making it start from align left. Your friend's code. Okay, your friend's unique code. How do we make that everywhere now? Let's say friend's unique code. Friend's unique code. Now it is out of this place. So let's say friends ref code. Okay, let's leave it like this. Now you can decide to make it like this. I even feel that we should still make it like more disabled. Yes, or if we are not making it more disabled, then we are making this more active. So let's try that. I'm selecting everything. How did I select everything? I clicked on command and control and shift, control and shift, and then I started to, select everything. Now let's make this darker. Okay, I've made it darker. Now another thing we want to do is we want to check contrast. So I'm going to my plugin again. I'm looking for my contrast and now I can check. Okay, okay. So let's see this against this. Now this is very good. I love that. I love that. That means that no matter who is watching or who is reading this, they can see it. And even if they may not be able to see this one correctly here, but because they can see this, it already works for me. Of course, this does not like work well, but we can copy the color code here and then we can use that for our button. So you can just say Control V and then you have this here. All right, so do we have any question? Let me check. Oh, okay. Let me move further up. Okay, I've answered that. Okay, yes, 4.5. Sorry, that was a mistake I made. It was 4.5 ratio 1. Yes, exactly. I think I've shown us. That was why I changed my function from the perception thing that it was in to this simple contrast check. So I use a different contrast check to figure out my own because I mean that way is just better for me. It's just good flow for me. But then this is a simple contrast check that we can look into. Okay, let me see more questions. Yes, so it should be, so to answer Jeffrey's question now, it should be at least 4.5 ratio 1, yeah, and 3 ratio 1 for headings, 4.5 ratio 1 for body text. But for me, I prefer to just follow this guideline and make sure that for everything, the moment it is clicked, then I'm good to go. Instead of waiting for one to be clicked, the other to be read, I just like that most of these things are clicked so that there will be no problem. Even if you have the worst vision, you probably will be able to see my design. And I always appreciate when people say, oh, I don't have any issues not seeing your design. Yes, somebody asked if this contrast check is always correct. Yes, it is. It is always correct. Okay. What if the color that passed the accessibility check has already shifted from the brand color? What do you do? So you would want to talk to the clients. You would want to talk to your clients and explain to them on why that has happened. And you want to show them what you mean. You want to show, give them an example of what you are seeing, give them an example of how you tried to check the contrast and how it has passed the check that you were supposed to pass. Now let's say, let me try something. If they say that is our brand, work with it. Let me see if I can do a control Z to go to the past color. So you can see that this is the color that we have. Now I am thinking of something. So it has passed all of this check. It has passed 4.5 ratio 1. It has passed 3 ratio 1. It has passed this other 4.5 ratio 1 for a large text, but it has not passed 7 ratio 1. I can decide to, let's say, oh, this is FFFF. So really, there's nothing more I can do except I change the brand color. And if I change the brand color, they would complain. So if they are saying, oh, we don't want you to touch our brand color, you can try to maybe tweak the colors in some other places. Let's see if I give this a black. Let's see if it will work. I'm sure it will not work. I just tried it. But then this is me trying a black out. You might want to go, try different colors out to see which one pans out for you, and then you would probably work with that. I'm also trying to make sure that I'm not choosing like the white, but right now, F1, F1, F. Right now, it doesn't seem like any of this will go apart from white. It doesn't seem like anyone would go, okay, okay, I think I found one. All right, so I can go with FA, which is also like the very good white. So I mean, this contrast checker is amazing. It is really amazing, and you can use it for any of your contrast check. And if you are worried as to if it is going to be correct or not, you can also check the website. Just go to contrast checker website. You can put in your color there to see if that color over another color is accessible. So that's the way of checking colors. Yes. Someone says, how do we get the contrast check? Okay. Okay, I think I've answered this question. All right. So double A means that it is accessible, like just okay, accessible. I don't know how to I don't know how to explain that in a good grammar, yeah. But but triple A means it is very, very, like it is like top notch accessible. So you want to see, sometimes I make sure that for me, my works are on triple A's, like they are accessible in triple A's. I just try to make sure that it's accessible in triple A's. Where are we? Where are we? Okay. Okay, someone was asking what this frame is. Yes, this frame is like your authentication frame where you try to authentic. This is not onboarding, this is an authentication frame where you try to get the users, their details and the likes, you're authenticating them. So that is an authentication screen. Well, I've not tried giving my prototype to someone with vision impairment before. So I don't know if this is for Joseph now. I don't know if it will be possible, but I believe it should be possible because Figma is also designed for abilities and disabilities as well. So I believe it should be possible. Okay. Like putting disabled users consideration. Don't carry me go where I know today. I don't understand Abigail's question, or I'm thinking it's not a question. I'm thinking it's not a question. Can we use the plugin for any design? Yes, any design whatsoever. You can use your contrast check for it. All right. If your organization refuses you to change that color, then I explained earlier that you should actually try to find a way to tweak the other color that you are putting on top of the brand color. And then sometimes you can even just go with a black on white. You can reduce the use of the brand color and only use the brand color in some places while you make the most use of your gray colors. All right. So we would actually be doing all of those as assignments. God I beg. Okay. Oh, okay. So I thought that you've been taught how to create a grid. Oh, wow. Funke, you said how many screens do we have to design for the mobile application? Well, if it's a mobile application, well, try start with maybe 10 to 12 screens, a bit of your onboarding, a bit of your authentication, and main screens. Yeah. Okay. So someone says, imagine I'm your user, my lecturer. The calendar icon does not seem to be relating to calendars like these ones. So probably you are saying that this calendar icon does not explain calendar. All right, that means if you are my user and you have said such a thing, my response will be to look for a more explanative calendar. Looking at what you have said, I would probably look for let's look for calendar again, or let me look for dates to just be on a safe side so that I can pick the one that is something you can relate with. I'm hoping I don't end up picking calculator at the end of the day. Okay, let's look for it. If I use this, I don't know if that's good to go, or if I use this. So you need to help me here. Let's try to use one that would look better. All right, let me see if I can use this or this. Yep. So import as a frame, then I can delete this. And of course, you can adjust the color to whatever color you want to adjust it to. I'm hoping that I hope this is not looking like a radio like this. Or do I try to bring in this as well? All right. Okay. So you can then adjust the color to whatsoever suits you. All right. Okay. 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 Let's see if this works. Now let me come back to you to see it. Okay, I'm seeing is the contrast check compulsory for every design? If your design is going to go live, yes, contrast check is compulsory for every design that will be on the web. Contrast check is very important for every design that would be hosted on the web. All right, I think I've explained that this is an authentication page. Yeah. Um, okay, all right. Okay, no problem. Yes, 10 to 12 screens. I mean, that's very small. So you would do low fidelity of 10 to 12 screens and then high fidelity of 10 to 12 screens. By the time you create your splash screen, your onboarding screen, and some major screens, you would see that you may even have more than 10 to 12. Okay. Also, someone is saying I should use a calendar with dates, the one with 21. Okay. 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 All right. I will do that. You guys are my users. So the moment you guys say something, oh, but I don't like the way this is not curved. And for consistency's sake, my design is curved. So I'm thinking I can pick the one with 10. I think I should pick the one with 10 or even this one with 1, but let's go with this guy that is 10 here. All right, so let's import it as a frame and there we go. So I think this is better. I think this is better for us. All right. If we say it is good, then I'm glad. All right. Okay. 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 So I'm hoping that, all right. Okay. So someone says that explain the assignment a little more so that we can have a clue on what to do. I believe I've explained it, but let me see. Let me explain it again. So your, oh, sorry about that. So your assignment is to design a mobile application that helps people when they are not motivated to do anything. For example, some people are not motivated to do this assignment already. Now, how do you motivate them, or what do you do on the application to motivate them to, or what do they want? How do they want to be motivated to carry out their assignments? Or maybe some people who don't like to go out even when they have work to do, how do they get motivated? Now this is a problem for some sets of people who are not motivated to exercise, and then they become probably obese and it affects their health. Or some people who are not motivated to clean their houses and then they live in a dunghill. Or some people who are supposed to work on themselves, work on their ethics, work on different things, but they are not motivated. Some people are not motivated to go to church or to go and pray when they are supposed to pray because they're not just motivated. So, because they are not motivated now, how do you get them, or what would you put in place to get them motivated? Now I saw something online that made me put up this task. I saw an application that helps to motivate people, and I will not tell anybody about it. Now, this application helps people, especially people that maybe don't want to exercise, or they don't want to eat, or they don't want to do things. They just don't want to do things because they're not motivated to do it. And it helps them by giving them some things. I will not say it. So I won't say all those things. I won't say all those things. Now, it just helps them by giving them things and helping them get motivated so that they can perform tasks, or so that they can finish the task that they are supposed to do. All right. Someone says, I have not answered your question. Please kindly put your question up again. I'm not sure I saw your question. I'm not sure I saw your question. I'm still waiting for your question. Oh, okay, okay, I've seen it. So you said that what is the difference between temporary disability and situational disability? Now that's very simple. So for temporary disability, maybe maybe someone, not you now, maybe someone is sick, or maybe someone was injured, or maybe I think I said it when I was talking. I said maybe probably you had a hangover, or maybe someone did not sleep all through the night, and maybe because of that lack of sleep you tend to now have like sight issues, vision issues. You look into the bright sun and then you cannot really see clearly, or the person's head is just muddled up. You have to talk like 2 3 times before the person understands something. Now that type of thing, you would call it what? Temporary disability. But situational disability is like you have a child in your hand, you are carrying a child in your hand. Now, because you are carrying a child in your hand, you are not able to use your both hands to do some particular kind of thing. Or you have gone to the market to buy food. Now, because you are in the market buying food and the place is very noisy, you are probably not able to hear the other person at the other end of the phone. So you cannot use the voice note now because it is noisy. So you probably need to check the transcribe, because now that is situational. That is situational because you are in a particular you are driving. Because you are driving, your mom has sent a very important message to you that needs you to pay attention to it, that needs you to respond to her. So you can quickly say, Google Assistant, respond to this message for me, open WhatsApp, and then you start to tell Google, or you start to tell WhatsApp what to send back to your mom. So you are in a context, you are driving at the moment, that is a situation. And because you are in a situation, you need to maybe take some of the things that the people with disability will necessarily do, because at that point you are a bit handicapped. That's the right word. You are a bit handicapped. So that is situational disability. You are betting and you need to pick the call because it's your mom that is calling or your dad that is calling. You need to pick that call because it's urgent. You want to pick the call for me, Siri, and then Siri picks the call for you, and then you're able to answer the call. So I don't know if I've answered your question now. Control Think tells me to share the idea. No, no, no. Adebisi says, give us hints. Go and look for it. All right. So when there's a drop down, you would select all of the country locations there. That's the way it will change. But for now, because I've just kept it there like this, it will not change. But if they click on the drop down, that is if you are done designing it, that when they click on the drop down, it should actually show the drop down, and then you can now select what country you are looking into. All right. So someone says, can we have a class on types of screens? Okay, so if you are dealing with desktop, you are looking into designing pages. if you're dealing with websites, I'm so sorry, that's wrong. If you are dealing with websites, if you are dealing with websites, you are dealing with pages. But if you are dealing with applications, you are dealing with screens. If you are dealing with websites, you are dealing with pages. But if you are dealing with applications, web applications, mobile applications, tablet applications, you are dealing with screens. All right, I'm sure I've answered all our questions. I'm sure I've answered all our questions. Someone says, I've been importing icons as components, but I see you imported it as a frame. What's the implication, ma? There is no implication. I also import as components. But because this is just a beginner class, I didn't want that question to come up. So I just imported it as a frame. So there's no implication importing as a component or as a frame. If you import it as a frame, you can change every other component. If you import it as a component, you can change every other component that you bring in, every other icon component you bring in. But if you are importing it as a frame, then you have to like change the icon one after the other when you need to change it. So there's no implication at all. I hope I've answered our questions. I really hope I've answered our questions. This is already 9:02, and we are coming to the end of this class. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you enjoyed the class. You can always go back to the class. You can always watch the class again. And if you are confused at any point in time, please you can reach me on LinkedIn. Some people said I don't respond on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram. I'm so sorry. It's bad, but I'm not on Instagram. It's only a business account of mine that is on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, and I'm not on X, which is Twitter. I'm not on X, I'm not on Instagram. So the best place you can find me is LinkedIn. If you have been checking Instagram, that's not me. I'm so sorry. Yes, please let's have a lovely and amazing night. Bye.